The early 1960s were the halcyon days of the surf and hot rod craze, when Mr. Gasser and the Weirdos, Rat Fink, and the Beatnik Bandit were cultural household words. With today's youth heroes being much less down to earth, it's about time to rediscover the man behind these way-out wheelies.
Meet Ed Big Daddy Roth. He's designed the most far-out custom machines since the invention of the wheel. Every century has its great artists like Michelangelo, Da Vinci, or Rembrandt. Like, what has private collectors paid for your creations over the past 25 years?
I give them to everybody. I give them
away, huh?
Give them to museums, yeah. When I get done building these and use them, then I give them to a museum because they don't change it around, you know.
Exactly.
You let some of them guys out there get hold of one of my cars, they'll paint it and put a big hammer in the back and put, you know, the Junior Burgers and run it out. But I don't want that.
Exactly.
I want these to remain intact.
Okay, I see.
So I give them to museums.
What type of museums, like around the world, would be, you know, displaying your
The
car?
biggest one is Harrah's up in Reno. Harrah's, I gave almost my entire collection to Harrah's because Harrah had at that time a shop of about 100 people that painted, upholstered, chrome plated, everything. And they really did it nice. Got them back to original. But see, after Mr. Harrah died, Holiday Inn got that, and so they went into the hole so deep with that they eliminated that shop area. So they did auction some of the cars off. But the main ones are still up there, which is the Outlaw and the Beatnik Bandit.
Big Daddy has been designing custom cars since the early part of the 1950s. All of his work displays classic timelessness that will be examples of modern pop art for centuries to come.
Down through the ages, I'll have the credit for them. Some will get destroyed, I don't doubt that, but enough will survive because there's about 30 or 40 of these things out there, and there's enough to survive these things so that nothing will ever change on it.
Can you please explain to us how you create one of these cars from concept to reality?
Well, what I do is I get up and I start playing around with a clay model. This one right here is the one that I made first. On this one, I wanted to make sure that when I got it done, that it would look like a little 34 coupe, see? And that I could sit with my nose above the roof line and still be able to look out at it, at the street. And that's why I think the engine's belong back, because if you have the engines here, you can't put your feet up there, and you also can't get a low hood line. You see why I say the engine has to be in back, because the low hood line is what makes these cars slick. Then I came and I made a little more detailed model here. Got me some clay, professional clay. And I wanted this to resemble a 34 coupe right in here, with some X9 air scoops in here, come on an X19 Fiat. And I wanted still to be able to look over the windshield, the post of the front windshield, down onto the road here. And that's what I worked out here. And also got the body design for the rear part here, so that this wheel would hydraulic up and down by not hitting here. That's what I wanted to work out here. So I'm going to have a Volkswagen engine back here, then I'm going to be able to look over here and have my feet up in here. I also wanted to be able to heat my feet, because the last time I went on a trip to Minneapolis, even though it was summertime, still got snow right in my legs right here. Here I'll be able to seal myself off right here and just get my head out in the snow, which I don't care about. My head can get cold as anything, except I don't want my feet to get cold.
Can you tell me what inspired you to dream up this kind of design in an automobile?
I guess, Dominic, mostly by using them, because see, Los Angeles is surrounded by about 20 miles of commercial area, and then after you get out of that, you hit desert till you hit Albuquerque. So you got about 800 miles of real healthy desert to cross to go any place. If you want to go up the coast, you can go up the coast to Carmel, but that's still a fairly wild trip up I-5 because they don't have any gas stations, a lot of gas stations. They have some.
Right.
So the bike guys in California, they're always stuck with these long distances, see?
Yeah.
So I had to design all my stuff to go through that desert. Water injectors to squirt on me while I'm going through there. Place to keep water, drinking water.
Yeah.
Gallons of gas to large gas tanks.
Yeah.
Bikes that handle good, cars that handle good. That's where you come up with it. Plus the guys with the Street Rod Nationals, they they like to go long distance, so you have to have a CB radio and a radar detector.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have something that looks groovy.
Okay.
You cannot have a square-looking machine, because they'll say, oh, well, you got a square-looking machine, man. You can't come with us. You know, you can't play with us.
Exactly.
Even old guys like us, we still play these games, you know.
Okay. Yeah, it's very important.
So the street is what this determines what you're going to build in a car.
Do you have a theory on the economic situation in Detroit?
Those guys in Detroit, they brainwashed everybody with these, you know, got these jazzy-looking people that dance and say, oh, we got the revolution and we got the animation, we got little groovy cars, but they don't have the groovy cars. The poor guys with the groovy cars are from Honda, you know, and Japanese cars. Now, Korea built this Hyundai, and those are the Volkswagen, the grooviest all-time car there was. It's like a little miniature Panzer tank, because Porsche built the Panzers with this independent suspension, torsion bar suspension. Well, the Volkswagen is like a rip-off of the Panzer, see? And nobody talks about it because they don't want to talk about Hitler and what Hitler's part was in the Volkswagen. The Germans don't even like to mention that, because they're afraid to get convicted of war crimes if they talk about this stuff. But Porsche is the guy that brought these 20 million Volkswagen sales about. 20 million of these little bugs out running around someplace.
How do you think the system in Detroit can be alleviated? What do you think they should be doing to get things together in the right track in this country?
Well, they've got to play around with some newer ideas. They've got to attack the smog question and the computer question and resolve it into a realistic answer. They've got to come up with 4-valve engines and two dual ignition spark plug engines, so that they can burn cleaner to begin with. And they've got to put the engines where they belong, in back of the driver, not in front, which is a totally ridiculous thing. And they've got to. They just have to. The art centers is where the problem begins, because they are the ones that teach the kids how to build clay models of trash, not good cars. The kids in the art center don't know how to do anything. Because, like I asked them, I asked these kids, say, okay, now when you take your gas cap off, it makes a noise. It goes, shh. I says, is that noise going, or is it going, and they all say, I don't know. Well, that's a basic question. So where does the oil circulate? From the pump. How long is your valve train dry without oil before it starts getting oil pressure? Well, I don't know, but these are the major questions that have to be answered, because engines wear out when you don't oil the parts, see? So you can ask a kid about engines, they don't know anything, what the advances are and what the oiling routes are, and they don't care. Cam shaft design, they don't care. They want to make a pretty outside, see, and that's not where it's at. As you can see by my garage, I live one long life of going to the junkyard and getting turned on by junkyards and things that happen at junkyards. I mean, they're so groovy. People that don't ever go to junkyards really missing out a good part of life, because everything happens there. It's the guys that speak all these languages, and they have all these tools, and there's guys with sacks over their back, look like Santa Claus, but they got all radios in there that have a little partner with them. It's got a battery that tests all the radios, and if it works, they rip them out of the car and put them in the sack and go sell them to their friends. See, they're only paying like $3 a piece for them. So the junkyard is sort of a collection agency of really what's going on in this country. The guys hanging out at the new car agencies not telling what's going on. What's going on is at the junkyard. See, because if the alternators out of the Chryslers are wearing out, boom, you go to the junkyard, all the old alternators are gone.
Yeah.
So you can tell what was wrong with the American cars by going to the junkyard and saying, well, that's what's wrong with the American car. The alternator went out on the '68 Chryslers.
Big Daddy's symbol cartoon character, Ratfink, has been the source of inspiration for a film, and his models have been reissued this year. Brother Rat Fink emphasizes the values of 60s youth around the world.
Back far enough, you can trace Mickey Mouse to the stick figure with a circle on it, and you can also, here's Mickey Mouse's father. He'd be something like a real ratty looking thing. And so since Superman had the S on his thing, I'd put RF on his chest, see? And so this guy, next day, comes around, he says, you know what, that rat fink you drew last night, I want a t-shirt with that on there. Okay, so I made him one. This was in 1963, 62 actually. I made him one, made his friends one, and their friends all wanted one, so pretty soon I'm drawing this rat fink on everything. In 1963, I copyrighted it. You know, they're all superheroes.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about skateboarding, going down to the beach, and hot rodding. There's never been a cartoon done about wild wheelies and 57 Chevy skidding around corners, you know, and throwing a shift, man, like mothers worry.
Yeah.
Nothing. That's what I want to do. But
Okay.
the big guys downtown with the money, they all say, we don't want that. We want Spider-Man stuff. And I said, well, that's too far out for me. Imagine it doesn't happen, you know.
It's not down to earth, in other words.
No, it's down here. It's not what's happening in the street. Okay, gang, here we are at the 20th anniversary of Ratfink. This is a very, very special year for me, 1983, because in 1963 is when I came up with the Ratfink. So this year's Ratfink party is really special.
You want it right side up, though, didn't you?
Any way you want to do it.
Yeah, you didn't want it backwards.
Anyway.
All right. Yeah, we do it backwards. It don't matter.
2 words.
2 words, okay. That way we just make this a little bigger and that makes it into 2 words. That's a nice brush. You know that? Whose brush is it? I'm gonna steal it. That's a nice brush. Oh, it is just super neat. I'm gonna steal this brush.
Put it all together. I used to sit there and watch it.
You have to ignore these little bumps sometimes. Oh, this little silver disc I got my turbine hanging.
You should make sure you get the smoke. No matter how much you magnify this drawing, it does not have guidelines. Now, this is what a lot of you guys won't understand, but Dutch is doing this without any guidelines and no layout whatsoever. And he sees these things in his mind, so check it out.
You know, I've never really been happy with any of my bees. Now, see what we do over here, kid. You know, see that great long tail that's on the R that he likes to use? We'll see now we just put that nice long tail right on there. And it makes everybody happy. Okay. put that tail on there, and that just makes it all happen. All right? So you want to see? I want to steal this brush. Really, it's a beautiful brush. Look at a mirror. Let me give me a mirror, man. I gotta make sure it's right.
That's what I was saying. You need a mirror so you can read it, huh?
See, I'm not like that. I gotta have guidelines. In fact, this is what they call
Pounds on that pick up. I heard at least 4 slam.
Look real close and you see them little dotted lines. I don't know how he does it. You know, I try to figure it out, but if he studied this enough, he could do that without the guidelines, but I gotta have the guidelines.
It's a good thing you had him work on the hood earlier where too many people didn't see him using no guidelines.
I can't believe it. If the camera didn't show it, I wouldn't believe it. I'm gonna go home and look at that again in my video machine. I saw it in person, couldn't handle it.
See, it's a good thing I put that big plug in for Lyle Fisk in San Diego. See what happens?
Handmade tape?
This was before.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's a fine piece of work.
Did you bring your board with you?
Wood graining stuff? Yes, I did.
We're in for a treat, gang. We got the wood grainer right here. No more mystery about wood graining after tonight. Right, Spina?
That's right.
This stuff looks so real.
Frustrates the termites.
Termites walk up to this wood and they go, man, what a meal this is going to be.
Hey, did you ever look at the Fossil Vega? The wood on them?
That blue car Jimmy used to drive?
Well, I knew the Fossil Vega, the wood grain that stood in the dashboard. You know, I actually thought it was wood.
We're going to leave you in LA.
That was some guys in England. I never do lunch. It's wrong. There's a little bit of pressure in here, man. A little bit. Some of the best in the world, man.
So we're going to have some wild chili and some wild music tonight. And later on, some wild dancing. Big Daddy Roth here, signing off.
I say R-A, R-A-T, R-A-T-T, rap, R-A-T-T-F-I-N-K, rapping, 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 R-A-T-T-F-I-N-K,
guess I wasn't the only one who was sick and tired of Mickey Mouse.
How did this project begin? Well, about 1999, I went to the Dallas Video Festival, and with a friend, we drifted over to a gallery that was on the other side of the tracks. It was a lowbrow art gallery or custom culture gallery, and they had a showing of Ed Roth's art, and I recognized Roth's work immediately. It all came back to me, and that was really the inspiration. I found his book, Confessions of a Ratfink, and I read it, and I realized how important Roth was in predicting the cultural revolution of the 60s. When we started the film in 2000, I had made a film called Grass. I'd not planned to interview Ed at the time. I just wanted to shoot a celebration of Ed's work with customizers who paid tribute to Ed. After we did that, Ed passed away, which was shocking. And I put the film away. I couldn't even think about it anymore because it was just so terrible. And a few months after Ed passed away, Woody Harrelson, who was a friend, called me and asked if I would take a trip with him down the Pacific Coast Highway. So I hopped on that bus and made a film called Go Further, which documents that trip. I was at a comic book shop, and I ran into this woman who would always tell me what the cool comic books were. And we started talking about Ed and animation, and she said her boyfriend would love a project like this. His name was Mike Roberts, and he was a car guy who had just gotten out of animation school. I met Mike, and I immediately knew that he was able to bring Ed's life to life. We hit on the idea of an alternative style of documentary using photographs. I guess what really got me inspired was to tell Ed's story from the point of view of his cars. And I'd watched old reruns of My Mother the Car, which is not really a good model. It was like the most unsuccessful TV series ever. But I thought that would be a good way to tell Ed's story and broaden the category of documentary. I set about to cast the movie and thought of John Goodman to play Ed. And when I met Goodman, he told me the story about how he met Ed in a car convention in New Orleans, and Ed said to him, if there was ever a movie to be made about my life, I'd like you to play me. Goodman was a Roth freak, and it was a kind of destiny that he would play Ed. Growing up, I was one of those glue-sniffing kids that built models and had rat fink rings. And I read Mad Magazine and listened to the music of Little Richard. And for me, Roth was the beginning of alternative culture. He sent a message out into the culture that being weird was cool.